Put the phone down, Maya, I said, my voice dead calm. She did not even flinch. She just kept typing, her long red nails clicking rapidly against the screen. I am messaging Ethan about the morning budget review, Robert. Do not be paranoid. I am not paranoid, I said, turning my laptop around so she could see the display. But the hidden camera I installed in our private study last week is very accurate. Want to watch the video of you and Ethan opening my personal safe while I was out at the regional client site? Maya froze. The color drained from her lips instantly. The expensive phone slipped from her fingers, clattering loudly onto the marble kitchen island. You spied on me, she whispered, her eyes wide with a mix of shock and sudden, defensive fury. I protected my assets, I corrected her, standing up straight. There is a difference. For 5 years, I built this security consulting firm from absolute nothing. For 6 months, you and my lead business partner have been sleeping together and plotting to strip me of every single dollar I own. Did you honestly think I would not notice? Maya stepped back, crossing her arms tightly. The nervous twitch in her jaw told me everything I needed to know, but she quickly forced a cold, arrogant smirk onto her face. So you know, she sneered. Good. Then we do not have to play this ridiculous game anymore. Yes, Ethan and I are together. And yes, we are taking the proprietary encryption codes tomorrow morning. By 9 o'clock, the restructuring paperwork will be finalized by the board of directors. You are getting pushed out of your own company, Robert. You will be left with nothing but a worthless, empty shell of a business. Ethan is 10 times the man you are, and he actually knows how to run a real operation. I let out a short, dry laugh, refusing to give her the emotional reaction she wanted. Ethan is a salesman, Maya. I am the engineer who built the software. You really should have remembered that before you let him copy the database. Whatever, Robert, she snapped, grabbing her designer purse from the counter. Enjoy sitting alone in this big house tonight. Tomorrow morning, everything changes. You can talk to my lawyer. She slammed the front door hard enough to rattle the glass panels. I stood by the kitchen island, listening to the sound of her sports car roaring down the driveway. It was a Thursday evening, exactly 10 minutes past 9 o'clock. She completely forgot that today marked our 5th wedding anniversary. But she certainly remembered the exact deadline for the illegal asset transfer she and Ethan had planned for tomorrow morning. I sat back down at my desk and opened the encrypted communication log. I had been tracking them for exactly 7 days. The pain of discovering my wife's betrayal a week ago had been sharp, but I did not waste time crying or smashing things. I am a corporate counter-espionage expert. When someone tries to rob me, I do not get angry, I get tactical. My screen lit up with a live audio feed from Maya's car. I had installed a hardwired microphone under her dashboard 3 days ago. Ethan, he knows. Maya's panicked voice echoed through my office speakers. He found a video of us opening the safe. He knows about the restructuring. There was a brief pause, followed by Ethan's smooth, arrogant laugh over the car's Bluetooth system. Calm down, Maya. It does not matter what he knows. The digital tokens are already uploaded. The board meeting is set for 8 o'clock tomorrow morning, not 9. I lied to him about the time just in case. By the time he even wakes up, the $400,000 from the reserve account will be sitting in our offshore entity, and the legal ownership of the source code transfers to my new firm. Let him complain to the police. The paperwork looks completely legitimate, and his digital signature is already attached to the authorization forms. He cannot prove a thing. Are you sure? Maya asked, her voice shaking slightly. He looks so calm, Ethan. It freaked me out. He did not even yell at me. He is bluffing because he is desperate, Ethan replied confidently. He is a tech nerd who spends his life staring at lines of code. He does not have the guts for a real fight. Just come to my hotel room. We will celebrate early. I switched off the audio feed and smiled into the darkness of my room. Ethan really thought he was the smartest guy in the room. He forgot that I was the one who designed the entire digital signature framework for our corporate accounts 3 years ago. I picked up my phone and dialed a private number. It rang twice before a deep voice answered. Marcus speaking. Marcus, it is Robert, I said. The target just confirmed his timeline. They believe the transfer will execute automatically at 8 o'clock tomorrow morning during the emergency board meeting. We are completely prepared on our end, Robert, Marcus replied. The forensic accounting team has been monitoring the decoy server for the past 48 hours. The moment Ethan uses that cloned digital token to move the funds, the transaction will be rerouted into a federal escrow security account. We have already logged the IP address from his hotel room. It is a textbook case of wire fraud and corporate espionage. Do you want us to shut it down now? No, I said, my voice firm. Let them finish the transaction. Grand larceny requires full intent and execution. I want them to think they succeeded until the exact moment the trap snaps shut. You got it, Robert. See you at the office at 7 o'clock tomorrow morning. I hung up the phone and spent the next 3 hours reviewing the final documents. Ethan and Maya believed they were stealing my life's work, a proprietary cybersecurity framework valued at over $2 million. They had even lined up a buyer, a rival tech conglomerate, who had agreed to pay them a cool $1 million for the stolen code. But 7 days ago, the moment I discovered their little scheme, I made a few crucial adjustments to the master file. The source code Ethan copied from my safe was not the operational version. It was a carefully modified duplicate containing a hidden digital kill switch and a tracking routine. If anyone attempted to compile or sell that specific code, it would immediately scramble its own data structures and send an automated notification of intellectual property theft straight to the Federal Trade Commission. They thought they were ruining me, but they were actually just writing their own federal indictments. On Friday morning, the sun had barely cleared the horizon when I arrived at our corporate headquarters downtown. The air inside the building was cool and quiet. I walked into the main boardroom, carrying a folder of printed documents and a hot cup of black coffee. I sat at the head of the long mahogany table, waiting. At exactly 10 minutes to 8 o'clock, the door swung open. Ethan walked in first, looking sharp in a tailored gray suit. He possessed that slick, smooth-talking confidence that had made him a great sales partner. But today, his smile was wider than usual. Maya followed closely behind him, dressed in a brand-new designer outfit that she had undoubtedly charged to our joint account earlier this week. When Ethan saw me sitting at the head of the table, his smile faltered for a fraction of a second, but he quickly recovered his composure. "Robert, you are early," he said, tossing his leather briefcase onto the table with an air of authority. "I did not expect to see you here before 9 o'clock. I took a slow sip of my coffee. I like to be prepared, Ethan, especially when a major restructuring is on the table." Maya did not look me in the eye. She sat down in one of the leather chairs near the door, pulling out her tablet and pretending to review financial statements. Ethan took a seat opposite me, leaning forward and resting his elbows on the table. "Well, since you are here, we might as well get straight to the point. The board members are joining via video conference in exactly 5 minutes, but honestly, Robert, their votes are already cast. We have decided to take the company in a different direction. Your technical services are no longer required." "Is that so?" I asked, keeping my tone perfectly level. "Yes," Ethan said, his voice dripping with false sympathy. "Maya and I have reviewed the corporate bylaws. We hold the majority voting power now. We are executing a full buyout of your remaining shares for exactly $50,000. It is a generous offer, considering the company is facing some severe financial restructuring. $50,000 for a business that generated $1 million in pure profit last year?" I asked, raising an eyebrow. "That seems a bit low, do you not think?" "Take it or leave it," Maya chimed in from the corner, her voice sharp and vindictive. "It is more than you will get if you try to fight us in court, Robert. The paperwork is already filed. Our relationship is over, and your time at this company is done. Ethan and I are catching a flight to Miami this afternoon to finalize our new partnership with our investors. Just sign the release forms and save yourself the public embarrassment." I looked at Maya, then back at Ethan. "Have you checked the corporate escrow account in the last 5 minutes, Ethan?" Ethan frowned, his confident demeanor slipping slightly. "Why would I do that? The automatic transfer for our new acquisition fund was scheduled for 8 o'clock. It clears automatically." I pointed toward his tablet. "Take a look, I insist." Ethan muttered something under his breath and tapped his screen aggressively. He logged into the primary corporate banking portal, his eyes scanning the ledger. For a few seconds, the room was completely silent, except for the hum of the air conditioning. Then, all the color drained from Ethan's face. His mouth opened slightly, but no sound came out. "What is it, Ethan?" Maya asked, leaning forward, her brows furrowing. "What does it say?" This makes no sense," Ethan stammered, his fingers trembling as he tapped the screen again. "The $400,000. It is not in the offshore account. It says the transaction was flagged for security compliance. It is locked. It is locked because you attempted to move corporate funds using a revoked digital authorization token," I said, leaning back in my chair. "I canceled that specific access credential exactly 6 days ago, right after I watched the footage of you two breaking into my office safe." Maya stood up so fast her chair scraped loudly against the hardwood floor. "What do you mean, revoked? Ethan, you told me you had full control of the administrative portal." "I did," Ethan yelled, his voice cracking with sudden panic. "I used the master token from his desk. It worked perfectly when I tested it yesterday." "You tested it on an isolated mirror server that I set up specifically for you, Ethan," I explained calmly, taking another sip of my coffee. "I wanted to make sure you felt completely confident enough to execute the actual wire transfer this morning. The moment you clicked confirm, you did not move $400,000 of company money. You triggered an automated alert for federal bank fraud." "You are bluffing," Ethan shouted, slamming his fist onto the mahogany table as he stood up. "You cannot trap my funds. I have a signed corporate resolution from the board. The shareholders approved the reallocation of assets." I opened my folder and tossed a stack of signed documents across the table. They landed right in front of him. The board did not approve anything, Ethan, I said. I spent the last 5 days meeting with every single one of our major shareholders individually. I showed them the detailed forensic audit of your personal expense reports. Did you really think I would not notice that you have been siphoning client retention fees into your personal account for the past 12 months? A total of $300,000, Ethan. Ethan stared down at the audit papers, his chest heaving as he realized every single fraudulent transaction he had ever made was completely documented, cross-referenced, and highlighted in red ink. The shareholders were absolutely furious, I continued, my voice steady and commanding. They realized you were about to tank the company's reputation and land them in the middle of a massive legal scandal. At exactly midnight last night, the board held a private, unanimous vote. You were officially removed from the partnership and stripped of all corporate authority effective immediately. You do not represent this firm, Ethan. You do not own any shares. You have nothing. Maya turned on Ethan instantly, her face distorted with rage and pure terror. What? She screamed, grabbing his jacket sleeve and shaking him. You told me you controlled the board. You told me he was a clueless nerd who did not understand business. You said we would have $500,000 by this morning, and we would be completely untouchable in Miami. Get off me, Maya, Ethan barked, shoving her hand away as sweat began to bead along his forehead. He looked at me, his eyes wide with desperation. Robert, listen to me. We can fix this. We can work out a deal. I will sign over the proprietary rights to the new buyer right now. We can split the $1 million from the Vanguard Group. 50-50. $500,000 for you, $500,000 for me. No lawyers, no police. We just walk away. I looked at him with absolute contempt. The Vanguard Group does not want your stolen code, Ethan. I called their chief compliance officer 2 hours ago when I explained that you were attempting to sell them a corrupted, modified software package that would completely compromise their internal database. They immediately canceled the contract. They also turned over every single email and text message you sent them straight to the authorities to protect themselves from an accomplice charge. You are completely exposed. Maya fell back into her chair, covering her face with her hands as she began to sob hysterically. No, no, no. This cannot be happening. Robert, please. I was confused. Ethan manipulated me. He told me you did not care about me anymore, that you were just obsessed with your work. We can talk about this, please. 5 years of marriage must mean something to you. I looked at my wife, the woman who had spent the last 6 months planning to leave me broke and ruined while sleeping with my business partner. I felt absolutely no anger, no sorrow, and no regret. I just felt a profound sense of relief. It meant something to me until exactly 7 days ago, Maya, I said, my voice cold as ice. Now, it is just a closed investigation file. Right on cue, the heavy boardroom doors opened. 2 local police detectives and a federal investigator walked into the room, dressed in dark suits. Marcus followed right behind them, carrying a digital recording device. Ethan Vance, Maya Carrick, the lead detective announced, stepping forward and pulling a pair of steel handcuffs from his belt. You are both under arrest for grand theft, wire fraud, and conspiracy to commit corporate espionage. Ethan did not even try to argue. His arms went completely limp as the detective pulled his hands behind his back and clicked the cuffs into place. All his slick salesman confidence had completely vanished, leaving behind a broken, terrified man who knew his life was effectively over. Maya screamed as the second detective approached her chair. Robert, please, tell them it was a mistake. Help me, she pleaded, her makeup smeared with tears as she was forced to stand up and place her hands behind her back. I did not say a word. I just stood there, commanding the room with absolute silence as the officers led them both out of the boardroom in disgrace. Their frantic shouting echoed down the hallway until the heavy glass doors of the executive suite clicked shut, restoring total peace to the office. Marcus walked over to the table and picked up the folder of audit reports, a satisfied smile on his face. Excellent work, Robert. Every single piece of evidence is perfectly aligned. The prosecutor said this will be the easiest conviction of his entire career. They are looking at a minimum of 10 years each. Thanks, Marcus, I said, picking up my coffee cup. Let the team know that the firm is operating under normal parameters today. The threat has been completely neutralized. You got it, boss, Marcus said, nodding respectfully before leaving the room. I walked over to the wide glass window, looking out over the city skyline as the morning sun flooded the streets with bright, clear light. The game was completely over. The thieves had been removed. The company was entirely mine. And for the first time in a very long time, my future was entirely secure. I sat back down at the head of the table, opened my laptop, and went back to work.